domestically as well as globally after the markets closed yesterday and all through the night while we were fast asleep. Bring you the latest updates from around the globe, and in the second half we'll also get a little stock specific, tell you about which stocks to keep on your radar this morning and what brokerages are also flagging off. But with that, let's kickstart the show with the global handover. Winnie, US markets, tell us what's been happening. Mixed moves coming in, S&P crossing 5,500 but retreating a little bit as well. So tell us what's been up.
Absolutely. So that's what happened. 5,500 we managed to see on the S&P. The day before that was a holiday, and the last trading session for S&P actually managed to touch those record high levels. So yes, from that it's given up a bit of those gains, closed down 0.2%. We did see the Nasdaq too retreating and down almost 0.8% in trade. As of now, the S&P futures also are remaining just a little bit unchanged, so keep an eye on that. On the other hand, what we saw coming in was that the Dow Jones managed to see decent gains, was up almost 0.7% in a trade. So yes, Dow Jones was the outlier among the three benchmark indices that we have in the US market. Nvidia, that fell as much as 3.5%, mainly overall leading to the fall for the sector, that's the IT sector, as well as overall the tech index, that is Nasdaq. Because of that, we're seeing, because of Nvidia, we saw the Nasdaq saw a bit of a fall coming in there. So yes, that's how we're seeing in terms of the US markets. Not much of of an excitement that is coming in from a handover that we have from the US markets. But do not forget, all these tech stocks, at least in the US, Nvidia, especially that AI stock, was up almost 160% in 2024 itself. So yes, keep an eye out on that one. Moving on, I beg your pardon. We have the European markets, which actually saw a bit of an increase. European markets were trading much higher when you look at it. The DAX, FTSE, all of them managed to close with gains. European markets close higher. Why? Because Bank of England actually managed to hold the rates that they were talking about. So yes, there were no cuts coming in. There's no increase in rates. They're holding the rates. So yes, a positive sign on that front. And other than that, Switzerland has made the second cut. So keeping an eye out on the market. Other than that, SOX 600 was gaining provisionally by around 0.8%. The Bank of England rate is at 5.25%, which is continuing to maintain that rate, which is at a 16-year high for the company. And UK inflation also came in a couple of days back. That was also at 2%. We spoke about that yesterday. That 2% mark is what they have achieved. But will this continue going forward is something that we're keeping an eye out on. I just want to highlight in terms of the Swiss National Bank, because that was an important update that came in there. The Swiss National Bank is lowering its policy rate by 0.25% percentage points to around 1.25%. So this move was that was anticipated by most of the economists. That has come in now in place, and cutting a bit of the rates for the second time is an interesting bet to watch out for in the European market. So yes, that's how the global markets are setting up like. European, surely a positive handover, but US markets not much of an excitement, and that is why the Nifty implied open also indicating a bit of a muted start for the Indian markets. Not much of a cheer that we're expecting there as well. Crude, and what is happening on the gold front?
Well, very flattish moves coming in on the oil front as well, and crude oil futures have also slid early in this morning trade on the prospect of higher for longer interest rates in Asia and the United States, while falling US oil inventories kept prices from moving lower. Japan's core consumer prices last month, remember, gained 2.5% from a year earlier, and this is what data has shown this morning, growing from the previous month and keeping the country's central bank on track to raise interest rates higher in the coming months. Now, US data released yesterday showed that the number of Americans filing new claims for unemployment benefits fell in the week ended June 14, with broader strength in the jobs market persisting. Still, strong employment raised the prospect that the US Fed Reserve could leave rates higher for long. Now, higher interest rates typically weigh on economies and in turn on oil demand. So that's the entire play when it comes to macroeconomic moves, as well as the relation to how that pans out on the demand and supply for oil. Oil was supported by government data that was released yesterday that showed that a drawdown in the US crude stockpiles by 2.5 million barrels in the week ending 14 June to 457.1 million barrels. This is what the IEA has said, compared with analyst expectations and a Reuters poll for a 2.2 million barrel draw. So big difference coming over there in the real number versus what the street was expecting. Gasoline inventories have fallen by 2.3 million barrels to 231.2 million barrels. This is what the EIA has said, compared ahead with a forecast of 600,000 barrel build. So a big mismatch coming in those gasoline numbers as well. But when you take a look at what both of these indices or counters are up to, WTI oil is unchanged as of now at $82.2 a barrel, firmly above that 80 mark. Brent on the flip side, however, is as flat as it could be, less than a $1 cut coming over there, but Brent at $85.7 a barrel. That's where that is. So slightly above 85 is where Brent is, and firmly above that 80 level with $82.2 a barrel is where WTI is. But Vinny, lots to watch out for, even though it's Friday today. So take us through what's on the radar today.
It's Friday, but it's International Yoga Day as well as Music Day today. So we are keeping an eye out on the health and fitness front as well as your mental peace front on Friday. But a lot to watch out for on the domestic as well as global front. In India, we have the manufacturing PMI data in the Eurozone, also keeping an eye out. That's UK keeping an eye out on the manufacturing as well as service PMI data. And other than that, CPI data coming out in Japan as well as Hong Kong. Moving on to the corporate action that we should keep an eye out on in India, HPCL, BPCL both are to issue bonus shares. Keep an eye out on that. Premier Explosive is to see a stock split that will be happening. And do not forget, it's the last day to buy shares if you want to be eligible for dividend of Tata Steel, Arkin Chemical, Green Lamp Industries, Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance. Keep an eye out on those stocks as well. Moving on, we also have IPO action, a lot of IPO action that still continues. We're seeing Stanley Lifestyle IPO that is going to be opening today for subscription. We have DEE Piping Systems that closes for subscription today is the last day, as well as Asa Loans IPO also closing for subscription today. Like I mentioned, let's keep an eye out on an important event is that FTSE and Sensex rejig that will be happening today. Keep an eye out on those updates and all the stocks that will see inflows and outflows on the back of that. Surely we'll see a bit of a move there. International Yoga Day, Music Day, we are keeping an eye out on. PM Modi will shortly be addressing Yoga Day celebrations in Jammu and Kashmir, and obviously he's going to be laying a lot of foundations of multiple foundations and projects that will be in Jammu and Kashmir. 1,500 crores worth of development projects is what we're watching out for. Other than that, agriculture and allied sector projects of 1,800 crores is what PM Modi will be launching. Keep an eye out on all of that. And other than that, moving on to just some update that is on the global front commentary. Richmond Fed President Tom Birkin will be speaking late this evening, so keep an eye out on all those important events today.
Absolutely, lots to watch out for.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.